All right, hello everybody. It's 12:30, just about, and this is Jeff Scott. I'm going to go over the completed program for the Brick Breaker game. Okay, I'm going to first let me run it so you can see what it looks like. You can see that I've added some sounds. I've added some spectaculars type of stuff as fade ins, fade outs. I'm going to go over all of it in just a minute. So first, let's run it and lose. So I'm going to lose on purpose. All right. And I believe, I don't know if I changed it back or not. Let's check the win. To win the game, I only have to get 3 right now. So I made it easy so you can see that as well. So you can see what I have now. So what I want to do is I want to take a couple moments and go over all the changes that I made in the entire program. Okay? So let's take it from the end of the game. So this is the code that I have if you're playing the game and you lose. First of all, this isn't new, but when you click, okay, I wanted to make sure that when you clicked at the beginning that you hit this. All right, but then let's look at this. So when I receive a show game over message, I changed the sound around. I found this sound, it's called Space Ripple, and I liked it. So I start that sound. I show the game over screen, which is the red one. All right, the green one's up there now. I broadcast a stop game message. All right. And then basically what this does is this does the flashing that you see right here. All right. And what the reason I needed that stop game is even though the game's over, the tennis ball and the paddle continue to keep going. But by me telling them to stop, then they should stop. So again, one more time. When I get a show game over message, I start this noise. That noise right there. I show the game over. I broadcast a stop game message so that the paddle and the ball stop doing anything. And then 15 times, I have the color effect go from 100 to 0. So it goes basically from showing to not showing. It's got that flashing look. So one more time, just so you see it. Again, I'm going to purposely lose from the start. And that's even different than the way I did it in class. Went back and added a little more ending animation. I should also mention that for the backdrop itself, all right, there is code in there. I played the sound Dance Magic until done, and I wanted to play it until done. I didn't want to just play the sound. I wanted to play the sound until it was done. Because notice if I put in here just a start sound, okay, and I play this is going to sound really bad. But just so you hear it. Hear that? And what it's doing is it's starting to play the song. It's starting to play the song, okay? But it's going in such a fast loop that it's not finishing. It's starting it before it gets a chance to finish. It's starting it again before it gets a chance to finish. It's starting it again. So the difference between start sound and play sound until done, it's pretty obvious. As soon as I start up the game, it sounds much more professional. There you go. All right, so you get the music all the way through. Also, notice that when I receive a stop game message, I'm telling it to stop everything that's going on in here. So that's going to stop the music. All right, once I receive the stop game message, so the game is ended. So as far as the stop game, again, just like with start game, I want to make sure it's hidden at the beginning. So again, I think, or maybe this is the one I went over already. Do the space ripple sound. Okay, show it. broadcast the stop game so that the paddle and the tennis ball stop, and do this color flashing thing. Then for the other one, which is, I'm doing basically the same thing, except now when clicked, I'm making sure I set my score back every time. Now, to be true, you should set this to 28 because there are 28 bricks. All right. And what I should be doing in here right now, and again, I changed this around a little bit. I changed the code around just a little bit because I wanted it to look a little bit more professional. So when you win, it should broadcast a stop game, which stops the paddle and it stops the tennis ball. It's going to do this cheer thing that sounds like this. I don't want to. Oh, I can do the same thing here. I can get rid of this. And instead of a start sound cheer, I can do a play sound cheer until done. That would have been a better way to do it. And what does that do? Well, it's not playing it, but let's set this back. Let's just set it to 1 for right now. And then run this. Okay? All I need to get now is 1, which shouldn't be too hard even for me. Okay? So it says you win, and it flashes a little bit. Now, since I said play it till done, that's the reason that it played it and then it flashed. So maybe I want to reverse those 2 lines. In other words, maybe I don't want to play the cheer sound until done. Maybe I just want to play it once. So come in here, start sound cheer. Let's hear which one of these sounds better. All right, so I'm going to run this again. And I've got to get 1. There you go. Okay, so that's a little bit of flash, a little bit of glitz, whatever you want to call it. So again, for the you win, when the score reaches really 28, you show the you win screen, you broadcast the stop game message again so that the paddle and the tennis ball both stop. All right. You start the cheer sound, and then you repeat this. This is something new that I put in. If you go back and remix the project from when I gave it to you originally, this is in there. All right. Like I said, I thought it looked a little bit more professional this way. So that's those 2 things. Also, you may or may not have noticed that when you start running it and you start the game, watch the ball. The ball now looks like it gets a little bit, it's got like a little, whatever you want to call it, following it there. How did I do that? Well, let's talk about it. I added a new sprite called a ball. It was bigger than the tennis ball, so I shrunk its size down to 70. So they're pretty much the same size, these 2 things. Then the code I put in here for the ball said that when I was clicked, if right there, if you look here, I can move the ball to the front or I can move the ball to the back. If I move the ball to the front, then this thing, which is supposed to kind of be like a shadow almost of the ball as it's going, it would go before the ball, which would look silly. So I moved it in the background. Then I hide it. I put it in a loop, and I tell it basically every 1/10 of a second to go and create a clone. So it's making copies of itself. And when it does that, show it, and then basically have it shrink down in size, okay, and then delete itself. So again, it looks a little different maybe, but if you look, you can see the shadow or whatever you want to call it of the ball now. Okay, so that is those are those 2 things. So far I've gone over the stage where you play the music that's going to play throughout. but I'm telling it when I get a stop game message to stop. I went over the code for winning. I went over the code for losing. And I went over the code for the ball. So what's left is the code for the bricks, for the tennis ball, and for the paddle. All right. So let's look at the paddle first. And when I get a game over, I tell it to stop all the other scripts in the sprite. What that means is the paddle should stop as soon as it gets the game over message. I added a pop sound in here, and now that I thought about it, I'm going to grab this and take it out for now. Okay? Why? I'll show you. I didn't like that pop. It's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I really don't want to use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to here, and there was something. Oh, where was it? It was like a paddle, and it was. Let's see. If I can't find it, I'll just go back and put the pop back in again. But I heard it and I liked it better. It was basically a paddle, like the ping. It might be ping pong. It might be something like that. Ping pong. This. I kind of like that better. So I'm going to grab that one. And if you don't like it, you can always use whatever one you want. But notice, I like that one better. So I'm going to come into my code, and so I'm going to play the sound again. So go to the Sounds tab, and I want to play sound until done, and it's the ping pong that I'm going to play until I'm done. Now again, what's different? Well, let's run it again so you can hear. Now listen to the sound when it hits the paddle. Again, it sounds more like a ping pong game. You might like that better. You might like that less. And either way, it's totally fine. So I've now gone over the stage, the ball, the game winning string, the game over string, and the paddle. All right, so in the paddle again, I added this ping pong hit, and I added this, which changed the color. And that changes the color basically every 25, by 25 as it's moving along. So the other things you may or may not have noticed, let's look at the bricks. There's quite a bit of code I added here. Nothing in this first one click, that's still the same. But when I start as a clone now, there's a ghost effect here by 100, which means bring it in invisible. Then I've got in here, there's also a change Y by -10, which moves it down by 10 pixels or 10 steps, whatever you want to call it. Then in this repeat, this is what brings the bricks in. They slide back up again very little by little, and they show more as the ghost effect comes. All right. Then in here, I play one of two sounds. I brought this laser 1 and laser 2 sound up. So the sounds we have in here are laser 1 and laser 2. Okay. So it's either going to keep doing this, or it's going to do this, or ideally it's going to be switching back and forth between the two. And how does it do that? Well, I generate a random number between 1 and 2, so either a 1 or a 2. If I generate a 1, play laser 1. If I generate a 2, play laser 2. Finally, before this actually gets removed, so before the brick goes away, it turns itself around a little bit. The ghost effect goes up and the size goes down. So what you'll see, if you watch real closely, what happens when a brick is hit. You may or may not be able to tell, but it gets smaller and it rotates as it's getting smaller. That was the other thing that I added in there. All right, and then finally for the, let's see, I think it's the ball I didn't talk about yet. The only thing I had to add in there was when I receive that stop game to stop all the other sprites that are currently running. And that's pretty much everything. Now, Reagan, I can see that you're here, so if you've got any questions, you can ask them, but otherwise I'm done. I know this was very short, but this morning, when I did it with you guys, it was about an hour long.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering why, when like I did the game over thing, like you did, it still continues, like everything still moves.
Well, one thing you want to make sure happens is down at the bottom, you want that stop all. You have to have that down at the bottom. That stops everything. That's stop all is like you hit the red stop sign.
I do have it. It's just when it, so I did when I receive show game over, then it does place on done until done, and it does show, then broadcast stop game, then stop all.
Okay, well, again, it's going to depend on the order in which you put your lines of code. So this is my game over, just one more time. I told it to play the sound and then to show the game over screen, then broadcast stop game. Because remember, on here, this stop game right here, this message is going to be picked up by three things. It's going to be picked up by the stage, which will tell it to basically stop playing the music. All right. It'll be by the paddle, which will tell it to stop all the other sprites, and it'll be found by the tennis ball to tell it to strike, because you have to tell it to do that. Otherwise, those things keep going. All right. And so again, this stop game gets broadcast and it gets picked up by the stage to turn off the music, by the paddle to stop the paddle from moving, and by the tennis ball to stop the tennis ball from moving. That's what that does. Then I repeat this. This is the thing that makes it flash again. Okay? So that you can see it. That's what happens. All right? I set the color effect. So that's what's making it go on and off and on and off and on and off. And again, I'm doing pretty much the same thing for when we're done and we're showing the when you've won. All right, we're doing the same thing. We do the cheer sound. We repeat this the same way that we just repeated it. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, then unless you have any other questions, I'm finished. Thanks for being in the class. I appreciate it. When you get your final project done, please send it to me so I can put it out on the website, okay?
Okay, bye.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.